Okay, so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. Okay, so last week's interview, or what was it, 2 weeks ago, was with myself and Rose and Maeve. Yeah, it was fantastic. I love sitting down, as I've said a few times. It's great to sit down with those guys. What kind of feedback did I get from it? I got all really good feedback. People were delighted with it. People really liked it. People could connect with it. Family members were, impressed. Like my little brother Kieran, he was on to me first. He loved it. Yet there was people that listened to it, and there was parts in it that was just probably a little bit uncomfortable for them, or what they perceived from it. Perception is reality, but it's not fact. But I can't judge that, because some people overthink, and I overthink, but only about things that matter to me, would that be about my family or work or stuff like that. I don't really overthink about people that I don't know and what they think of me. I couldn't give a fuck, really. The only people I worry about is my family and the people I work with, because they're things that are really important to me, are my best mates. So I can understand their point of view. So, yeah, I could really understand that. But look, there's always going to be that when you do an interview like this, not everyone's going to see it through your eyes or your lenses or whatever, or understand the way you're trying to say it. But it was all good. We had the chats about it and all is good. So, 99.9, the feedback was deadly. There's one thing, though, I would like to say was, like, I know I said in the interview, I have a great handle on my mental health, and I understand my triggers, and I'm the observer, and I don't want to sound like I'm pontifying, or I have it all sorted, because I absolutely don't. And that interview, just after it was released, I had 3 days or 4 days of fear and anxiety triggered by overthinking in relation to my family and my personal life, and I got into a kind of a frenzy of overthinking, and that generally then brings me into fear and anxiety. I start looking at things through a negative and fearful prism. But again, I use the skills that I talked about in the interview. I'm observant of it. I don't feed into it. I mind myself, and I know after a couple of days that it will pass. It's nearly like being at sea. You're fucking bouncing around. All your mind is all unsteady. You're looking at things through a negative prism. But I know, and I can't trust that fear, and I have to choose love over fear. And I keep saying that to myself: choose love over fear, choose love over fear. So although I might have come across in the interview that it's all rosy in the garden, I go into fear and anxiety pretty quick. But I'm observant of that, and I know it's coming up, and I know how to get out of it. I know that it will pass. I always know it will pass. Where probably in years gone past, I used to fear that this was going to be permanent. I'll be stuck like this. I'll be a miserable fuck forever. But I know through all the work I did, the reading I did, the times that I spend with people on this podcast, that it'll pass. Just like when I'm in good form, that passes too. And I know I talk about positivity on the podcast. I don't really try staying positive all the time. I just understand that things are as they are, whether it be positive or negative, are just ambivalent. They're just normal. Nothing's going on, nothing good nor bad, and that's just life. And that's something that I've learned over the years. So that was my week. The podcast came out, all went great, and then I went into fear and anxiety. But then by Friday and Saturday, I came out of it like I always do. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you in case you thought I have it all sorted. Because people think when they listen to other people, think, oh, he has it so fucking sorted. I wish I was like him or whatever. I know people have said that to me. Jays, you really have a handle on things. I don't. It can all go diddies up in a second, just with a conversation with a family member. If I don't feel like it's secure and I'm worried about them, I can go into fear and anxiety. It's nearly like an automatic switch goes out in my head. But I do know that'll come out, and if you're in the same boat, you will too come out as well. Just once you trust the process. So yeah, that is the crack. What else? I've got the camera sorted. This interview now with Richard Kelly. So the camera works, the sound works. I had him on the podcast before, and the camera went halfway through. The mics didn't record. There was a problem with the mics, but Kev, the technical legend, sorted both out. So we're good to go. So I don't know. By the end of the week, I'm sure Intel or IBM be on to me, asked me to come and work for them because I'm such a technical genius. Oh no, I'm a fucking absolute numpty when it comes to this stuff. I don't know. Something seems to fucking go wrong. Even with this interview, there was difficulties before I started, but again, Kev, the superhero, came to the rescue. So fair play to you, Kev. Right, enough of that. Carry on. On the interview today is Richard Kelly. He's a lecturer in Tallaght IT, where I studied. He was a second year when I was he was a first year when I was the second year, and then he's gone and now he's an associate lecturer, and he's a performance nutritionist with Munster Rugby, strength and conditioning coach, metabolic. He lectures metabolic health, biochemistry. He's strength and conditioning coach himself. He loves it. You know, what did we cover on the podcast? We covered that kind of stuff, what he does in his job day to day, his own passions. We talk about nutrition. We talk about the Munster rugby setup, the work that he does there. We cover kind of behaviour changes in order to implement nutritional changes with people. Any kind of changes, you have to look at the behavioural around, and we had a good old chat about that. We talked about calories in versus calories out, strength and conditioning, all sorts of. We didn't go too deep in anything, and says now that he'll come back onto the podcast with me, as I'd love to have him back on, where we will go more specific and we will go a lot deeper, you know. So it's lovely just to be able to sit down and have these conversations. As I've said before, I don't like to do an interview twice. So I've done it already. It loses something, but not with Richard. I sat down with him the second time and it was like I hadn't sat down with him before. We just went over more stuff, different stuff, and we could have been there for hours. I had to pull it early because it was going into an hour and 20 something minutes, so I wanted to wrap it up because I was very mindful of his time, you know, because he gave me his time the last time, this time now, so I didn't want to go too far into it, you know, take up more of his time. So yeah, it was a fantastic interview. It was fantastic knowledge that he shared. So hopefully that you will enjoy that. As always, I'll thank Noel Riley from Rooney Graphics, also Jamie that works on the photographs for the podcast for when we launch it. They do deadly work. We really appreciate it. If you need any kind of graphic design stuff, check out Rooney Graphics. They're on the website, but their details will be at the end of our show notes in iTunes. We're on YouTube. We're on all the kind of podcast forums across the way. I know I talked about giving up the camera maybe, but no, I think we're going to stick with it. This is going actually all right, and as I said before, it was a form of quitting, and sometimes I do that when I get frustrated. I go, oh, fuck that, I'm going to give it up, you know. But no, we're going to stick with it. There was something else I wanted to say. What was that? Oh, no, I totally forget. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. No, so that's it. Look, mind yourself. Look after your mental. Oh, I knew what I was going to say. I talked about the pod in the last podcast that I was going on to do yoga teacher training. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I was hoping to get funding through the job because I was going to implement. I do a lot of the work a lot of the training I go on, a lot of the education that I do myself personally, and the CPD that I do in the job. I can put it into use in the job. So that's just going to do the yoga. I was going to part pay it, hoping they would part pay it, but they couldn't. It just didn't fit in with my job description or the competency, so they couldn't do it, unfortunately. They've been really good to me over the years. They've supported anything I've did, and this was probably just a bit of a long shot, but my manager came back and said that wasn't going to happen, and I was a little bit disappointed because no one likes to hear the word no. You know, it's the little kid in us doesn't like to hear the word no, but I understand from their point of view. And do you know what? It goes back to something that Charles J. Jackson said to me in one of the interviews. Check it out. It's called Black Angels. And he says to me, you know, advice his mother gave to him was don't force life and don't change for anybody. And this was something I probably was doing. I was forcing it. I haven't got an awful lot of yoga experience. I just love the whole being of yoga and being in it and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, I don't know if I have the experience to be a teacher, although I'm pretty au fait with anatomy and physiology. Excuse me. I wasn't probably ready to be a yoga teacher, and this is what the universe has done. It said maybe you're not ready, Matt, you know, and I had to look at it like that. I mean that my weekends be still free for going working on my disco muscles and spend it with my kids and my family and my bro and his family. So yeah, that's where we're at, and I'm all right with it. I trust the universe and I trust me journey. So that's the crack. Right, that's it. That's all I've got to say. So look, enjoy this interview. Give us your feedback. Share with family and friends. And always, always, always mind your little self. Be kind to you. Be compassionate. be understanding and appreciate that you're an absolute awesome human being, just like everyone else. Have a great day and check out this interview. Take care. Bye bye. On the show today, again for the second time, is Richard Kelly. How's it going, Richard?
Very good, man. Delighted to be back in such short notice.
Unforeseen
circumstances.
Fucking disaster. My technical deficits have struck again. The last interview we done, the sound was fucked up. The camera went bananas. It all went diddies up, didn't it?
Yeah, we had microwaves going off left, right, and centre.
We had microwaves going off. Am I all right to use this room? No. All right, sound and wax on the microwave.
It is what it is, isn't it? That's what you try and do it in a public place, I suppose. We're opening that up, aren't we?
Yeah, but look, the camera's going to work today. Kevin, the technical legend, sorted it out today, and he took it away. He said to me, turn off the Wi-Fi part. I thought he said just disconnect it from my phone. So I've always been just disconnect it from my phone, and it was only lasting an hour, like we did that day, or 40 minutes. But no, what he meant was actually turn the Wi-Fi setting off on it. So he had it in his gaff and it was going for 2 hours.
Right.
I've had it here, and he made a job. I had it in the job today, and it went for like 2 hours. So all those interviews I made of balls out, it was actually my fault. At least I'm consistent, what?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's consistently bad at technology.
Consistently bad. Even today when I got home, I forgot the SD card, and I rang Kevin and says, this thing, I have no card. He's like, bring out a eraser while you're sitting there. So I did, and it says SD error. And he was like, the thing has never done that before. What did you do? And I said, I didn't do anything. So to fly over to his job, he takes the phone out of the camera out of the box and just goes, it's grand. He pressed something. I fucking know he pressed something, but he says, no, it's grand. So fucking disaster. Anyway, right,
we're here, we're back, we're ready to go.
Waffle over. Guys, I've asked Richard to come on the show because Richard is a lecturer in Tallaght IT. He's a performance nutritionist. He's also with the Munster Rugby team. He's a handsome, beard-wearing, axe-throwing motherfucker. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. Yeah, fair. That's a very nice intro. Thanks so much.
Yeah, very welcome.
You picked all the boxes.
That sorts out your ego.
Yeah.
So as I say, I've asked Rich to come on the show because he's a lecturer in Tallaght, and it's to do with this performance and nutrition. So I want to dig into some stuff there. But look, give us a little intro to your background, like what got you into the whole sports science field.
Yeah, cool. So I grew up always kind of playing sports. Soccer would have been my main sport. Didn't really have a clue about the idea behind training outside of soccer training in terms of doing gym work or nutrition and that kind of stuff. And then around 2010, I think it was, I was studying a completely separate degree. I was doing computer science, and I started going to the gym with my buddies, and we did a good summer of training, and all of a sudden I went back to pre-season in soccer, and I noticed like I was faster and I was jumping higher. And the coach said it to me, he's like, geez, you're after doing something, like you look fit and stuff. I was like, maybe there's something to do in this, going to the gym, because it'll help my soccer performance. So then I got thinking about, was I actually happy doing the degree I was doing, and is there actually a way to learn more about the training side of things that you can influence performance? So I looked into different degrees, and I kind of saw sports science there in Tallaght, and I applied for it, and the next year I got in. So that was 2011 I started doing that. So studied sports science and health in IT Tallaght, 4-year degree. Throughout there, I was really lucky to get in with certain lecturers, really accommodating in terms of, here can I have an opportunity to kind of shadow you for external experience. So one of the guys I would have shadowed would be Marcus Shorthall. So he was the biochemistry kind of nutrition lecturer that came in. He was new, he was quite young, so I kind of found him really relatable, and he had a good sense of humour as well, which helps.
Yeah, I had him for, I think, I had him for nutrition at once, or I think sports nutrition. I had him for one, but he was absolutely...
I'd say, I think.
Which?
I'd say biochemistry.
Biochemistry. We had him for biochemistry. He was absolutely sound. Yeah. One of the best lecturers I had now, up there with the Jerry Collarans.
Yeah. But for me, it was kind of one of the days he was talking about proteins and carbs and lipids, and like in terms of biochemistry, it was a bit like, huh? And he's like, so if you want your Gaelic players to eat X amount of carbohydrates for performance, this is why. And I was kind of like, wait, hang on, that's why we're doing this? That's interesting. So kind of asked him, was there any opportunity to shadow? He said no. I asked him again, he was like, listen man, honestly I don't have nothing else or nothing going on. And then a while later he came up to me and was like, I have something if you're interested, and I jumped at it. And that was my kind of first taste to nutrition, and it was kind of just helping him out. Like, he would interview clients, his athletes, and he'd let me sit in the room just to see how he interacted with them. And there was times where he did skin folds, and he let me be there. I was just like inputting the data. But like I still got experience with county teams, and I got to kind of see the setup and see how things ran. And then later on in the degree, I think it was in third year, I was just I started ending up coaching like a ladies GAA team, and that allowed me to kind of go right from scratch. I've never coached a team before, and I have to do a pre-season into a season. So what the hell do I do? So that was again the applied side of learning all this stuff in the classroom, but now it's time to stand on a rainy field in January and show what you know and get a team fitter. Can you do that? And then just around the same time, I got approached by another lecturer saying he actually asked one of the guys in my class to help with the gym stuff for a group of hurlers. And your man was busy with something else, and he suggested I go. I'd be into it. So it was strength conditioning for senior club hurlers in Dublin, and really good experience in terms of I'd show up to gym sessions twice a week, and I think that was kind of a big test because on the phone he kind of said, our first gym session is going to be next Thursday. I need you there at kind of 6 a.m. And I was like, well, if I say no to this, I'm gone. So yeah, let's go. So I showed up, I think half six, and you're kind of like, is this going to be worth it? You don't know. And then it was a great season. Like I got to oversee the gym stuff, and then in the second season he was like, will you help me write the program? So it kind of helped me develop my ability to become an S&C coach in terms of writing programs and then seeing athletes do them.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was class. But that was all going on outside. I was still doing the degree. I was still third year, fourth year. Had a thesis on my plate as well to do, and I got that done. And my thesis supervisor is still there in Tallaght now, Kieran Collins. He kind of
good LKC.
The Dan. The Godfathers. Probably would he listen to this?
I fucking hope so. Do you know we done a post at KC in the Sunshine Band, and we put his picture and we put a few other of them, and we made a post out because we had to build a poster for something.
Okay.
And we done KC in the Sunshine Band. Didn't go down like a ton of bricks actually.
Yeah, it's nice now. He kind of saw that I was interested in strength conditioning, and I've been doing stuff at Marcus. So I was interested in nutrition, so he was very good in terms of came up with a good project for final year. Undergrad thesis that was kind of looking at fitness characteristics and body composition, so impact of the diet on players and how they change over the course of a season in a inter-county Gaelic team. So that was quite novel in terms of knowing I'd done that in GAA before, so I was getting into the research side of things as well. So after that I kind of decided I actually really want to go down the nutrition route, and I applied and got into John Moore's in Liverpool to do a master's in nutrition over there. So I spent a year over in Liverpool with the likes of Graham Close and James Morton, who'd be big in England rugby. Graham actually used to be in Munster years ago.
Like some of the boxers work with James Norton now as well, don't they?
Yeah. So I think Rocky Fielding will be one of the lads.
That's right, yeah. Jamie Moore's team. I think Carl Frampton's actually.
Yeah, Derry Matthews. Yeah. My mate Marcus, I think, is looking after Carl Frampton because they're both from Belfast. So.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So there was loads of opportunities over there, and when I was over there, I got lucky enough to get a placement at the Wasps, London Wasps. So they were kind of my first real stint into the nutritionist or applied nutritionist with the rugby athletes. So that was huge, like, to have a club like Wasps.
I think it was really lucky, and I was picking up what you're saying there, that you identified what you wanted to do early. Because I know when I done my degree, I had an idea that I didn't really want to go into sports performance or team nutrition. Mine was more around the education and training and teaching.
Yeah.
And identifying, but I know from talking to other people in the years in the class, they didn't know what they wanted to do, and then just year after year they just bounced on. Right, there was people in my year like me, like you, had identified what they wanted to do. Because you know yourself, when you leave a sports science degree, you're not a butcher and you're not a beggar. You're a bit of everything. You're gonna have to specialise straight away. Is that true?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like it's a double-edged sword. I think the degree that we did it can be quite general. So it gives you a good base, like a really wide base, but you don't have super in depth.
No.
Like at the same time, you do 4 years of like psychology, you do a lot of anatomy, you do a lot of physiology, you do biochemistry, metabolism, even immunology and pharmacology, stuff that we might not necessarily use.
But you're not a specialist in it.
Yeah, but I think it's good that we've an awareness of it.
100%.
Because there's now, for me, I'm in a multidisciplinary team of physios, S&C coaches, doctors, and it's kind of like, we're talking about a certain injury, and I'm kind of relying on what, I understand what how ligaments operate and stuff like that, and I come in from the nutrition side of, okay, what nutrition can support ligaments, and like the S&C coach will provide a training block for the guys, and he just has to go, we're looking at hypertrophy for rugby, and kind of grand, I know what that means, there's no kind of second guessing there. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
probably lend itself to the fact that I spent a lot of time doing S&C work, and then when I was actually in Liverpool, I ended up working in the gym as well for a bit of cash, PTing and teaching classes. So that kind of just got me another. I kind of looked at it as a negative because I was spending time away from nutrition. But one of the coaches over there sat me down and said, "Man, instead of you just having one tree with loads of leaves on it, you've kind of planted two trees and kind of grown them at the same time." So like, that's a nice way of putting it.
That's
Actually,
a cool analogy, yeah.
Yeah, so some really good guys over in Liverpool. And then I think I left Liverpool shortly. Yeah, I finished my masters, and I think I came back here and I got offered a job as a research assistant out in DCU, looking at kind of carbohydrates and proteins for recovery from exhaustive exercise. Actually, now that I say that, a study was published recently. I think it was this week.
Is that the one with the
low glycogen availability?
Yeah, I read that. Seen the video, and you done the muscle biopsy.
That was 3 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, so like that was March or April 2016, and it's been published like this week. So it's 3 years from that being studied. All that I was like the second last person to finish that study.
Wow.
As a participant. So my name's not on the paper, but my muscle samples are in there somewhere. I've got the scars to show up, prove it as well.
DNA.
When I talked about glycogen depletion, I came back. Yeah, I was looking at glycogen depletion in cyclists. Yeah. And if we feed a certain type of protein with carbohydrates, does that enhance recovery compared to another type of protein with carbohydrates? Say, so different types of whey or a casein based or a sodium caseinate. So.
And what was the?
I didn't finish the trial.
No.
There was a disagreement.
Ah, Jesus.
Do you know what the disagreement
An artistic difference, was there?
Yeah, potentially. You could say that.
Go on, tell us the difference.
So I was given the job on the term that I'd be based in DCU in Dublin, so it meant I could kind of move back to Dublin and where I'm from.
Yeah.
And then over a couple of course of the months, they were like, "We're actually going to change what we're going to do, and we're going to need you to move to Limerick," because it was UL that was funding and all. And UL were like, "We need you to move to Limerick," and I was like, "No, I don't really want to move to Limerick." And then 4 months after I left the job, Munster Rugby comes up and I apply and get it. So where am I based now?
In Limerick. You snake. Business is business, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing personal.
Nothing personal.
Yeah. So it was around that time after that, and it was kind of over the summer. I don't know. The main man, KC, rang me for something completely different. I don't know what it was, and I was telling him, "Oh, I'm not on that project anymore." And he was like, "Oh, really? Yeah. We might have a couple of hours in terms of like, would you be able to help us out deliver on like biochemistry and what is it? Physical activity, metabolic health. It was the main one they needed someone to cover because the nutrition lecturer and stuff that left.
Right.
Went full time with the IRFU.
Who was the nutrition?
Marcus.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Marcus. Yeah. So he called me up and said, "We need someone to look after kind of metabolism and health and a few other bits for a couple of hours a week. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah." And then about 4 weeks into that, then the Munster opportunity came up. Stuck my name in the hat, interviewed, and was lucky enough to get the job. So everything I'd done up to that point obviously put me in a decent position that they thought, let's go for this. This is the guy. So.
Deadly. Give us an insight to the lectures that you do, metabolic health, and what you do when you do biochemistry.
This semester just gone, I did biochemistry in second year, functional biochemistry, so kind of looking at how we actually apply biochemistry to sport and exercise.
Okay.
So the age-old question is, why can't you sprint the marathon? So that's the lead lecture is, why can't you physically sprint the marathon? And we look at all the enzyme pathways and all the signaling pathways and all the fuel sources for sprinting compared to marathon running, and what happens and why things shut off and why other things shut on. So the goal of that module basically is to show students, the application of. So you did semester 3, you did biochemistry in terms of your electrons and your charges and your Krebs cycle, and now it's actually the Krebs cycle in action, when and how it's kicked on and everything that goes with that. So that was like the biochemistry side of thing, and it'd be kind of in the nutrition pathway. So it should feed into nutrition and should ultimately feed into fourth year where you do sport nutrition. Because I did last semester was the first year we had a brand new sport and exercise nutrition module, and I delivered on that. And I was going into like, you guys know the structure of proteins, and if you have to understand the structure of proteins to know how they function and how they're broken down and digested and how they work at the end and how they're absorbed, how they get into the body, so how they can actually stimulate muscular growth and hypertrophy.
Savage.
So that's the kind of level of detail you want to get into.
Yeah.
And you have to, I was kind of like, you guys did biochemistry, and like, we didn't learn it that way. But I was like, so okay.
It's all about applying it, isn't it, to get the hook?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think the biggest thing as well, I got feedback from students, and I would have been in the same boat. I don't know about yourself, but people in my class was kind of like they didn't. I had that light bulb moment of, oh, that's what biochemistry is for. Not other people in my class either didn't have a nutrition interest at all, so it didn't engage them, and they just kind of went with it. And other ones are kind of like, I still don't know why we did that.
Oh, I remember going to biochemistry. I had a double class, I remember, on a Thursday, and I'm always been sitting there listening to fucking Swahili. Had all the fear, I'm dumb, I don't know what's going on here, can't understand what they're talking about. She was just going at it, she was just throwing information out. I literally had to come home, watch lectures on YouTube, get books out of Kevin Street, and just kind of do it all myself, get the exam papers and try pass it. There wasn't really, and I'm not having a go at anyone, it's just the way my learning style was. I didn't apply it and I couldn't relate it to anything. But yeah, there wasn't a hook there, you know, and I didn't get me. It was thrown at you, it's just biochemistry, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Like it is, though. Like some of the pathways and stuff is nitty gritty detailed, and there was when I was going back over to give lectures and prepare the lectures, I was reading through books and papers, and I was like, "Jeez, I've forgotten loads of this."
Oh yeah.
So
I'll take me hat off to you teaching that.
I found it as kind of like another form of kind of CPD, continual professional development, because I was spending 6 or 7 hours a week reading.
Why?
Just to prepare 3 hours worth of lectures. And that didn't even include the other hour or two that, actually putting the stuff on the slides and making it look nice, and then knowing what you're going to say when you go in for, because if you double class, you kind of have to speak for 2 hours nearly, and then
Jesus. And then you've got all the questions to ask you on top. You got to know your shit.
Yeah.
Because if you see a weakness, they'll hunt you down.
Yeah, and to do, yeah.
I know. I've sat around for a couple of them killings. What about the other one you were lecturing on, the metabolic health? I love that. It's kind of a subject that I'm really fond of myself, actually.
I found that when I studied it, I found it really interesting because it was so different. But when I think about it and I teach it, like it's like for the people that aren't going to go down the sports stream necessarily, like if they're going to go down a health stream, it's fascinating. It's a great module.
Fascinating, I love it.
But again, it probably should involve a bit more biochemistry, because biochemistry can feed into metabolism. So like what hormones are at play. So like for diabetes, insulin, massive hormone. So what happens from a biochemistry level that causes that to be secreted or not secreted?
Yeah. It's all the insulin, bro. It's all the insulin, bro.
Carbs are bad.
Carbs are bad. Insulin, bro. Gary Tobbs. It's the insulin, bro.
Oh man, poor Gary.
Yeah, I have one of his books up there somewhere.
You can keep it there.
Yeah. I need to get some paper for the fur one out of board. I was a low carb advocate for a long time, but
I got pulled in by Dave Asprey, the bulletproof diet.
Oh yeah.
Second year, butter in the coffee and bacon and all that stuff.
Yeah, I tried all that. Sure, look, I tried half the drugs in Dublin, so why not try the low carb diet as well?
Fair play to you. Someone's got to do it, I guess.
Look, I'm proud of my environment.
That's getting away. I'll go back to the topic of the lecture stuff. I was always a fan of, like, your man here is saying that if I put butter in my coffee and I eat bacon, I'm gonna this is gonna happen, and this is what. And at the time in second year, like, I have a clue what's going on. Let's jump into this and see. So I tried it for a few weeks, and I was like, I don't know if I had much of a difference, or realistically, I can't be objective. Subjectively, I probably, I feel great. Looking back, I probably didn't feel great. I don't know, but again, I wasn't afraid to kind of. What's going on? Let's jump in and try this. So it was whether it was a training program or whether it was a nutrition thing, get in and try it and see what happens, because you're only going to have an experience. Now n equals 1 is always a bit, but like you have an experience that I can bump into you and you, I tried that. Well, how did you get on? And I was like, I hated it. Yeah, me too. Or, I loved it. Oh, why did you love it?
Like people bang on about low carb. I was on it for a long time. I felt like shite because I believed that my serotonin levels were low, and like insulin being really low affects that and all that, because we understand the pathways and all that. So low carb didn't affect my mood, although other people would say it gave me clarity, it was this, it was that. It didn't work for me, although I believed in it. I thought, it's cool, there's some good health benefits to it. It didn't suit me. But I'm stubborn, I just kept fighting shit off. Sure, a little.
At least you kept at it.
But now I can say it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, but you come out the other end, you've got that experience. But the module of metabolic health is actually interesting. So you look at kind of physical activity, or lack of physical activity, should we say, and its impact on people's health. So like two of the biggest predictors of how long someone would live would be their cardiovascular fitness and their lower body strength, their leg strength. So if you think about someone that's a bit older, like if they're fitter, it probably serves them well. They're actually willing to get up and walk around and do more. And I think the lower body strength thing is interesting because it reduces your risks of falls. So especially in, like, 65 plus lower body strength, if you're got better balance, you're better able to stay upright, like stuff like that. Then we get into like disease states of type 2 diabetes. It's kind of caused over years and years of excess calorie intake, excess carb intake, all that kind of stuff. So you get insulin resistance. So you have to look at all, it teaches students all the mechanisms behind that and some of the research as to why we think it's happening, and then the focus of the module, I suppose, is the research around the interventions that can maybe prevent, and if it's not prevention, it's kind of reducing symptoms or hopefully reversing symptoms maybe. And we look at the research around type 2 diabetes, we look at certain types of cancers, we look at I'm going to try and put in like sarcopenia because I think that's a big one, like muscle
loss, yeah. Because does it go down 0.5 a year as you get over 30?
I wouldn't know the exact figure, no.
I've done a lot.
I think you're on to the point, yeah, it starts declining after 30. We looked at bone and osteoporosis, sorry, yeah. That's the one, yeah. We look at that as well, bone health and, how they impact bone health and all the kind of factors that would strengthen bones and how to load bones to get them to.
Yeah, I'm forever talking about this, doing strength training for men, women. If you're a woman and you haven't looked after your calcium, up to a certain age, get doing strength exercise, a few squats for press ups, wall presses, whatever, anything that pulls on bone.
Yeah, anything that loads the tissue is going to cause it to adapt.
Yeah, and I've been saying this for years within my classes, and people used to think I was just selling it because I'm into lifting weights myself, but it is one of the beneficial things if you want to talk about your health pension. You know what I mean? Lift a bit of weight. I don't mean dumbbells. Yeah, like I know people bang on about do your cardio, but you can do cardio through your weight.
Absolutely, yeah.
People don't get that because I have a mate of mine that's always like, how's your cardio, bro? I'm like,
you do a set of 8 squats and tell me your heart rate doesn't go up, like.
Yeah, but he's like, you're in good nick. How's your cardio?
Why?
Would you fuck off? But he thinks he needs to be running. But anyway, I just think strength training is the dog's dangly bits,
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Biased, but there's so much research coming out at the moment about it, like.
Yeah, like for posture, for muscle loss, osteopenia. Yeah, there's so much. Give us a little insight to your job with the Munster Rugby team.
Oh yeah, so I'm an Academy Performance Nutritionist. So essentially, I look after all the nutrition needs of academy players. So there's 21 guys that age between 18 to 22. Some guys so we kind of have a 3-year system, year 1, 2 and 3. Year 1 you typically get guys that are just out of school or have come through what's called the sub-academy. So they might have come out of school. We think they're good enough rugby players, maybe they need a year of development. So they'll go into the sub-academy where they train with the academy, but they're not given full perks and full contract. And they might come into the academy after 1 year. And then year 2 is kind of guys that obviously have progressed from year 1. And year 3 is kind of guys that are probably good enough to play senior level rugby in Pro 14 level, but maybe just need extra, it could be nutrition or extra strength conditioning, or just, they're on the cusp and they probably will play with the senior team. We just hang on to them for full development purposes, I suppose. So yeah, really my job is kind of, like you were saying earlier, education. So I'm trying to educate the boys. It's kind of changed a lot, I think. In recent years, it was kind of nutritionist is here, here's your meal plan, off you go. Whereas I don't think the meal plan type approach works. I've changed my mind on that. I'll probably come back and
do a 360.
Yeah. So like on my face, but yeah. So I wouldn't.
Is that what they want? Is there a lot of them that want it?
Some do, and some just kind of want.
They want the education,
and some don't want to talk to you.
But that's human beings, isn't it?
I'm one way I'm really lucky in the fact that like you've got guys that are chomping at the bit to be pro athletes, and they're on the cusp, they're right there. So some of them come to you and they're like, what's the 1% I can do with my nutrition? And unfortunately, sometimes players come to me and go, what's the 1% I can do with my nutrition? And I was like, well, you've missed 99% over here. But you're kind of like, if you got all of this right, like 90% of the time,
they have a bit of a blind spot.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or like some guys are just really driven, and you can't fault them. And like they're like super intense guys that are like, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm thinking of doing that because I read online. And you're kind of, whoa, like you're coming to me with this, man. And then you're kind of like, okay, but let's look at everything else that you're maybe not doing on every single day. Like if you can get that right 7 days a week, you won't need this, and this. But you don't know. So it's a lot of it's kind of problem solving. So mainly I try and educate them. There can be kind of some sit down stuff where I kind of give a presentation. I think the best way to get through to players is the one-to-one sit down, kind of eye to eye, face to face, and go, right, what are you actually doing, and what do you need help with?
That would take up a lot of time, though, wouldn't
It
it?
does, yeah. So I'm only part time down there, for kind of 20 hours a week. So if I see 4 or 5 players maybe a week, it's gone well, because per player you could be spending 15, 20 minutes sitting down, maybe longer. You might go away, have to look up. You might have my stomach keeps cramping up on Saturday before the game. You kind of have to go away, make sure you're on the right path with what you're looking up, and come back to them with suggested plans and catching up. So that can eat into an hour or two per day. And then you obviously have all your other stuff. Like we have our coaches meeting first thing on Monday to see who's training, anyone get injured, do they need.
Oh, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
What are their attitudes like when they come into you? Like, are they as green as grass? Like, are they like coming straight from home, or is it a variant?
See, some guys might go to boarding school and they're kind of left a little bit to their own devices.
Okay, so they have a bit of a clue.
Yeah. Some guys lived at home and kind of mum and dad have looked after things. We're actually quite lucky though that we have, if we think a player, let's say in 4th or 5th year of school, is going to be an academy prospect and a pro rugby player, we can kind of recruit them under what's called the National Talent Squad. So the IRFU kind of oversees that, and they'll go, we think this player is good enough to be in the academy. We're going to try and provide him with support now so he gets a service. So that service includes strength conditioning, nutrition, physio, medical, and separate rugby sessions to what he's getting in the school. So Munster will provide rugby coaches that do group sessions. Like, so if they're in Cork, that NTS group might train in Cork. They get like S&C plans and stuff like that. So we're kind of investing in them younger, so that when they come to the academy, they develop. So with those guys, because they're like 16, 17, 18, you're getting them. So when they come into the academy, they know who you are. They've seen you a few times over the last year or 2 years. They have a good level of knowledge. So some of my schools players that are going to come into academy, sub academy this year, I'd say have like really good habits, because they were like, okay, I'm not even in the academy. I need to show I'm academy worthy, and I'm still in school. And they've gone above and beyond, and they've done everything in terms of, like, I'd look at maybe it's rare that I would do food diaries kind of periodically, just kind of see like what have you been doing the last few days and stuff like that. And I look at some of their food diaries and like, wow, 10 out of 10, like fair play.
Deadly. When it comes to, like, for the guys that are not, are not as dedicated to implementing their nutrition or their plans, how do you get them to buy into change? You and I have talked about behaviour changes. What's some of the stuff that you would do there to get people to make them changes, or what helps?
And I guess it'll depend on the player that's sitting in front of you. So some players sit with you and they won't change because they think they can't, and then there's other players who think they don't need to. So that's a slightly different thing, I would say. So the players, it'll be a similar approach for me for both. Like, I'd look at it, go, okay, so you're in this position at the moment, you need to improve. It could be any number of things. But let's say your nutrition needs to improve because, let's say, you need to put on weight. And I've asked you, I sat with you 2 weeks ago and we kind of said, could you do this? Could you eat that? Would you try this? And 2 weeks later, nothing's changed. Okay, so, why didn't I'm looking for what went wrong in that kind of space and time. So really what I'm looking to do is identify like what that person perceives as their barrier to their progress. So what are the barriers for them to change? So what's stopping them? So like some guys, it could be, oh, well, you're asking me to eat more food and, food is expensive. So you're kind of like, all right, okay. So it could be as simple as like, where are you doing your shopping? And they might go, well, Dunn's. And you go, all right, there's a Lidl or an Aldi down the road that you can get the same shop for €30 cheaper and you save €30. Or eating healthy or eating more is really expensive. Like, are you eating out often? Like, oh, well, I buy my lunch or I buy my breakfast every day. And you work out, like, so we had a guy who was like, I buy my breakfast every day and I buy my lunch every day. I worked out that he was probably spending close to 50 or 60 quid just on breakfast and lunches a week. And I was like, you realise that if you went to Aldi, I could give you a shopping list that got you everything you needed for a week's worth of food for 50 quid. So that's like 3 or 4 meals a day for 6 or 7 days for the price of eight meals, or not 10 meals or something. So like stuff like that, it's like they might not think of it like, you know, that kind of way. They just, oh, I need food now. So here's my food, and they'll just pick up, you know, the wrap, or they'll go to the canteen and they'll buy something there.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, I'm trying to teach them with planning, stuff like that.
You know, because I've always found with people, you know, whether to try implement new nutritional habits, you know, if I work with clients, you know, whether in the job and that, it's never the mechanics of the diet. It's not like low carb, high carb. I mean, it's the behavioral changes, it's the lifestyle, it's the psychosocial, it's the psychological. There's so much involved, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as well, like, there's definitely an emotional part of it. Like, there's like people have like a belief of a certain way of eating, and then there's also the fact that, like, likely is, if someone's come to me at 19, they've probably ate the same or similar. Like, people's eating habits are fairly consistent. You know, they don't really. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't necessarily think about it. So my job is to kind of get them thinking about it, and once they're aware of it, like, so there's kind of like a body of psychological research out there, without getting too technical, like the Jesus, I can't remember what it's called. Like, there's different stages of when people want to change, and one of the first stages is called pre-contemplation. So that's before the person has even been aware that there's a problem. So, you know, remember they used to, like, that old quip is like, the first step is admitting you have a problem. They used to say, and that's kind of the pre-contemplation. Like, until you're willing to say to yourself, this is an issue, or I need to change this, nothing's really going to change.
No, you need to develop some kind of insight.
Yeah, and that's kind of the first kind of step, is if this player is not aware of, you know, your position requires you to be at a certain body mass, and if you're oblivious to that, or I have to kind of get that around you, and I can't do anything else until you're willing to meet me there. So then the next stage is kind of contemplation, where they're going, okay, so I'm aware of this, so they start kind of thinking about it, kind of need to know what's next then is their action. So, or planning, I think, is the next one. So, okay, you're aware of what you need to do, so how do you go about doing it? Well, we need a plan, and that's where I come in and sit with them, like, what plan do you, what's the goal, what do we need to do? Then you have to make sure they action the plan in terms of, are they going to follow through, or are they going to, you know, not do it? And for me, that's where it's really crucial, because, like, for example, I said meal plans earlier. Why I don't think they work is they ask people to change everything all at once, and all of a sudden your head spins, and it kind of takes a bit of an emotional kind of, like, Jesus, what's he asking me to do here? Like, whereas I go, right, are you eating a breakfast every morning? I was saying now, I was like, right, I want you to eat a breakfast. I don't really care what it is, because I want you in the habit of eating a breakfast. And if he comes in and goes, I had a bowl of Cocoa Pops, pat on the back. For me, if you've gone from not eating a breakfast to eating Cocoa Pops 5 days a week, now, that's not healthy, I'm not going to say it is, but I've got him in the habit of having something. He gets up 10 minutes earlier, and he's aware that he's aware he needs to eat, he's doing it. So I can work on, instead of Cocoa Pops, why don't you change to maybe some oats and a bit of fruit, or a couple of scrambled eggs, whatever we need.
Yeah, you can start.
And it's easier. It's easier that way, because if his barrier is, I don't eat breakfast, and all of a sudden is, I need you to poach 3 eggs, I need you to cook porridge, I need you to have some spinach and toast, and then you go and go, oh, I can't cook, I don't know how to poach eggs, and you're kind of like, well, there's another barrier that I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, I don't have a car, where am I going to get the eggs, or how am I going to get the eggs? You're like, oh, so he needs to plan, and he needs to get his eggs on a Sunday, so he has them for the week. It just steps itself back all the time. So what's the smallest thing you can change that's going to be in the right direction? And once we're going in the right direction, you just keep using that momentum of, okay, what's the next step? And what's the next step? And what's the next step?
What I'm picking up from here is, and we talked about this before, Rich, it's adding things. It's not going in saying, get rid of this, get rid of that, because that's a form of beating people up when you start telling them, get that out of your diet, take that in. But if you say, right, add a breakfast, add this, add that, then there's no room for the other shit or the other bad behaviours.
Yeah, kind of as well. I was thinking of it the other day, and I remember, like, I've coached clients before that were, like, had to cut weight for competitions, like powerlifters and boxers. And then there's other people that kind of, like, look after their physique for aesthetic purposes, so how they look. And I've kind of seen it a bit on social media, and as soon as they kind of go, I'm on a cut, and everything occupies their mind is about the cut. I'm on the cut, I can't eat that because I'm cutting. You're kind of like, okay, if that's what you want to do and you're driven, savage, but I think you're actually feeding yourself negativity by, you keep reminding yourself of it, not how horrible it is. it actually might not be that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're competing for bodybuilding and you're 16 weeks into an aggressive calorie deficit, like, that's not nice.
Yeah.
That is torture.
I done one last year, and I was done 18 weeks of a cup, and it was possibly one of the easiest one I done. It's difficult to stick to it, but it wasn't. I didn't absolutely butcher myself.
Yeah.
But
But I think like the more people put out, there's a couple of people that are putting out and like, oh yeah, the cut. Like, it's all they talk about. You're kind of like.
But the way I find with bodybuilders, whatever, they restrict all certain foods. I don't have any restrictions. I work off a calorie deficit, and it's always, I don't eat shit foods. I'll have a protein bar. I know you're a fan of them. But
don't start.
I work it around my calories. Like, I know I'll have fats, I'll have butter, I'll have bread, I'll have all these things. There's nothing restrictive. Just a lesser portion of it all.
Yeah, you're right. But like.
But when people do cuts, they usually mean they're gonna have chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Not even that, like, because you can get away with, like you said, if you reduce your calories and get your macros right, your body composition, and you're training it properly, your body composition should take care of itself.
Yeah, that's what I found. I find it cuts easier.
I think I'm more looking at like the food part of it. I've moved a little bit away from not recommending foods. I still tell the boys what to eat. Pre-game, post-game, recovery, all that stuff.
So that
like
wasn't. Yeah, go on. Sorry, I'm jumping out.
The emotional side or the mental side of it, I'm kind of focusing on a bit more lately because of people's attitudes towards changing their nutrition. I guess is kind of more aware, and it comes back to the.
I think it's the bigger one. I think it's the bigger one. You can get into the nuts and bolts of the mechanics of the diet. The carbs, the height. I think the behaviour is a huge part. Like,
one of the best books I've read on this is, I sent it to you, Switch.
Yeah, you
talk about the elephant and the rider. So if you think of your mind in kind of two sections, so the elephant is this, an elephant is a big animal, but it's really erratic and it scares easily, so it needs a rider, and your rider is your logical brain that's going to control things and keep everything in check. So when you get a meal plan, you get something that's kind of like, first thing that happens is like the elephant sees a mouse, it's kind of scared and it wants to run away. So, and the rider's kind of like, no, don't do that. And like, the elephant's so big, it takes over, it controls the rider, when it should be the rider controlling the elephant, and they're both on the same path. And that's the way, like, I look at it. So if you give someone a diet plan and it's got different foods that they not used to eating, and all of a sudden they have to cook, and they haven't really got the habit of cooking, like, that freaks the shit out of the elephant and it runs the other way, and all of a sudden the rider's clinging on for life. So you kind of want to do it. And the other thing it does is it creates what's called ambivalence or ambivalence, as some people, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think ambivalence.
And
the grey area, what do you want to say?
Exactly, but like there's a disconnect between what you know is the right thing to do and what your mind is kind of let's get out of here. And there's that internal struggle, and as soon as you got that, it's likely the emotional side will win out, and you just go back to, I didn't do my meal plan today, and then client A goes back to the gym, I didn't do my meal plan the last 3 days. So so this is where the coaching comes in. It's like, as the coach, how do you react? What the fuck did you do that? Or, okay, so why do you think you didn't do that? And what of it was the hardest part? And what was the easiest part? Like, I've never really cooked eggs for breakfast, so it means I have to get up extra 20 minutes so I can do it. So did anyone factor that in when they were thinking of that? Like, that kind of stuff. And you have to look beyond the foods. So.
Yeah, because people are forever talking to me in the job, is this healthy? Is that healthy? Will this help me lose weight? And again, we're getting lost in the grey area. I always do say, I can't answer that question. What is it in relation to?
Depends.
Yeah, put it in context. Like, I mean, if you eat 10 protein bars, that's not good for you. Everyone is looking for that food that's healthy or non-healthy, and where I say it's all about the behavioural stuff. What are you doing every meal? You sit down every day, every week, every month, sleep and eat and train, but everyone wants to know, is that food healthy?
Healthy has its context as well. Like,
it's a gigantic load of bollocks.
But like, if you've got someone that's so deep into this certain type of diet they've put on, whether they put themselves on it or someone put them on it, and they're on the verge of cracking up, like, and their fucking favourite thing to do is eat a bag of crisps, and you're like, have the bag of crisps, man, it's not the end of the world. And in that moment, if they stay on the diet, if they have the bag of crisps, like, right, I got that over with, it's out of my system, like, in that moment the crisps have been healthy for them.
Mm.
It's been good for their mental state, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and me and Aaron, Aaron's here by the way. Aaron's sitting over there in the corner. We haven't
looking great.
looking. He's the eye candy here. Aaron's the technical. I know Aaron's the social media guru. But
And
me and Aaron were talking earlier, and we were just talking about like protein bars, and I said I'd bring up when you come here. I haven't at the end of the day, but it's either that or it's a Toblerone or it's a Snickers, you know. But it does have protein in it. Rabbit's ears.
a third of 10 grams of protein is still a third.
Yeah, you can't polish a show.
I have to give that one to Graham Close. He told me that one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all this new protein fat. Like people want it goes in cycles of what's healthy. So like the Atkins diet was a high fat diet. That was healthy for years. That was the thing. Like now it's the keto diet. It's maybe the same thing. High protein, high fat, low carb, and then all this like health foods for a while, sugar free because it was low carb was the health food, and now it's high protein or added protein, and you're kind of like, well, it's still got extra fat and carbs in it. It's still terrible for you, but it's got protein in it. So does that negate all the other stuff? Don't think so.
Yeah, but another one that people always say to me, yeah, it's got protein in it, but it has aspartame in it. And as all these, I know, I get this all the time in the job. People come up and me and go, you told me that the protein in Lidl was grand. And I said, it is grand. You get like 35 grams. It's a sitting in 350 grams of whatever. And you go, but it has aspartame in it. No. I'm like, just eat the protein, you know. You'll be grand.
Yeah.
Do you get that all the time?
Sometimes, not really from the players, more from general health. Like, oh, what do you think of this? I read this the other day, and they're kind of like, oh, here we go. Luckily, thankfully the player, like, not really player. Like, I'm quite lucky that the guys that have this crop are really well educated. They've done a lot of work themselves, and I've been fortunate enough to kind of assist them along that path. And sometimes they, like one guy came to me one day and he's like, oh, I want to take glutamine. I was like, oh, alright, okay. And I was kind of like, why? And he's like, oh, it's good for energy. I was like, oh, how? Just, trying to be really relaxed about it and playing devil's advocate. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I just, one of the guys in the gym I trained with over the summer was saying I need to take glutamine because it's good for energy. I was like, oh, and is he a qualified dietitian or nutritionist? He's like, oh, no, he's a judo coach and stuff. I was like, all right, okay. And then I was like, okay, what do you think? And he's like, I think I need glutamine. I was like, all right. He's like, do you know what glutamine is? Do you know where you get glutamine? He's like, no. I was like, okay. It's a form like an amino acid and it's in protein foods. He's like, is it really? Yeah. But I still need a tub of it. I was like, so he's hooked on it. Like, so all of a sudden, this was a guy that I couldn't get to show me his change in his nutrition habits for love nor money. I couldn't get him to do anything. And he was just a really laid back guy. And I was kind of like, there's two ways to play this there. It's kind of go, shut up, get out of my sight, or I'm going to be with, alright man, if I give you this, I want to see you do this and this. And that's the trade off. And that's how I tried to get my win with him. So I gave him, I managed to dig it. We had a tub somewhere. And
Glutamine,
yeah.
it's one of the essential amino acids, isn't it?
If you're taking away, you're going to get something.
Yeah.
Like BCA, or that's EAAs, or mixed amino acids, you're going to get something.
Yeah, sure. I was talking to a lad in the gym, Bro Science, and he told me the other day that to choose what type of carbohydrates, choose the form, choose potatoes, because they digest a certain way, not sweet potato, because sweet potato is what it says, sweet potato. And I, on the tip of my tongue going, there's only 5 grams of carbs in the difference between 200 grams of sweet potato and ordinary potatoes. What's the difference? And he was like, it's sweet potato. Sweet is in the name. And I was like, I'm not even going to go there with you. So he told me
what was he getting at though? Like,
that potatoes are less sweet. And, if it was to do with carbohydrates, choose the certain carbohydrates that you're going to use. Use ordinary potatoes because sweet potato are much sweeter. But I know myself that there's only 5 grams in the difference of carbohydrates. There's no really, I think there's more vitamin A in sweet potato, am I right?
Yeah, you're right,
Yeah, like, I don't think there's a huge health benefit. You're not going to start fucking flying off fucking buildings to eat sweet potato. As much as that.
It's not what people latch on to, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. I get this all the time, but I didn't say anything because I probably thought that myself a couple of years ago, and I read myself out.
One of my bugbears is this thing of people trying to vilify fruit. So in the gym a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, guy was obviously had his first or maybe second session with a PT, and the PT was like, yeah, how's your food been? You know, how's your food? I gave you that meal plan. And like, I overheard this, unfortunately. I should have had headphones, but kind of was like, oh, here you go. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, what? Yeah, you eating protein? Yeah, you eating meat? And the guy was kind of, I think he was trying to like hint that he was a bit more towards vegetarian and plant based. And then he kind of was like, yeah, I eat a lot of fruit. And your man was like, wow, oh, Jesus, no. You know, can't eat fruit, man. Fruit's full of sugar. It's carbs. And I was sitting there going, are you actually telling someone not to eat fruit? I was like, I need to leave. I need to go or I'm going to explode. Okay, yeah, it's fructose. It's a form, but it's metabolized a little bit differently than glucose. Like, it's called blood glucose, not blood fructose. Sorry, going on a rant. But I was kind of like, you're like, fruit and veg are like, should be the base staple of nearly your diet. Like, and you add in your proteins, and you add in your fats and your carbs to that. Like.
Yeah.
So,
What are you, people got miss? Sometimes they don't equate the fruit as carbs. Like you just look at purely objective, it is carbs. There's carbs in it, and if you're counting your macros, but people get lost in that. They go,
but how many day-to-day people count their macros and need to know their macros inside out?
Yeah, true.
But like, if I give you 100 grams of strawberries, that's a lot of fucking strawberries.
There's only about 12 grams of carbs in there.
Probably, and how many calories is in there? Not a whole pile.
There's about 60 or so, less.
Yeah, and how much fibre is in there, and how much water is in there. So how full are you gonna feel after it?
Mm.
So that's what you're like. That's the reality of it.
And the apple cake that comes with it, and the cream, and the custard.
Cream, yeah.
But it's all about the insulin, bro.
Yeah.
What is your philosophy on your nutrition and weight loss and cutting weight? Where's your stand? I know you've read loads of books, Lane Norton and.
Oh yeah. For general day-to-day nutrition in terms of general population, I would say there's probably should be a slight shift towards a more plant-based. Now I don't mean everyone needs to go vegetarian and vegan, but they need to incorporate a wider variety of veg in their meals. I do see a lot of general population under consuming protein. From what I can see, if anyone's doing any sort of training, their protein requirements do go up. It's just the fact of how protein turns over in the body on an hourly or a couple of hour cycle. So rates of muscle protein synthesis building, rates of muscle protein breaking down, and that cycles every kind of 3 or 4 hours. So you can stimulate that by feeding protein. So anyone that's doing any sort of training, like our goal is for athletic competition and even for human health, is to maintain muscle mass. I mentioned sarcopenia earlier. Muscle is an active tissue that is the site of regulation for where carbohydrates go, and like the blue fork takes them into the cell and all that kind of stuff. So we want to hold on to muscle for those reasons. So there's health benefits of having muscle mass over a long period of time. Not necessarily saying everyone that does a bit of training needs to go out and slam protein shakes and eat steak 5 times a day and stuff like that. You don't need to go to.
But they have a budget they need to go off. And I was saying this to my girlfriend, but she didn't eat an awful lot. She didn't really understand the value of it, I think. But then when I said, no, you need to be eating this certain amount, because you run and you go to the gym and you do all these kind of things. It's important. It's not just so you look like Madonna, get muscles.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes it's alien because society or the World Health Organization have always said, protein be really low. And then when anyone goes over that, straight away think I'm eating too much, or will this be bad for my kidneys? Will this be bad for my liver?
At the moment, there doesn't appear to be enough or massive evidence to suggest it's bad for that.
No, I've done tons of reading on it, tons of research on it. I've looked up papers, and unless you've got kidney or renal problems, and then you're up against, you're just overloading the system.
Exactly.
But it's not down to the product that you're putting in, it's down to the actual system itself.
Yeah. But best if we cycle back, I suppose, what's my nutrition philosophy, or how do I think about it? Like, so if you look at it in terms of a pyramid, for me the base of a pyramid is energy balance in terms of how many calories are coming in to how many calories are going out.
And all them books I've read on nutrition, all of them, they all really say the same thing.
I think so, except maybe Gary Taubes. He doesn't really believe in that. But anyway, that's beside the point. Like, the ultimate thing is
He's on Wilson's dad, by the way. He looks like him. On Wilson.
Wow. That's class. I didn't realise that. Didn't make that connection. So energy balance will be the bottom of the pyramid, and like if you have too many calories coming in to what you're burning off, you will put on weight. And for some people in certain situations, that's desirable. That's what we want. Might want a player or a bodybuilder to put on muscle. We want them to put on weight. And then if you have less calories coming in than you're eating, then you're burning off. You're gonna lose weight. Yeah, you less calories coming in. Yeah, you're gonna lose weight. And again, that's desirable in certain situations where you want someone to be lighter to weigh in on the scales. But then you have to look at the next level, which I would say is the macronutrients. So your proteins, your carbs, your fats. If you want to count alcohol as a macronutrient, we can. It gives its calorie. So your ratio, your proportion of carbs, fats, and proteins within that energy balance. So like for people that are cutting weight, again, like I was saying, you want to maintain, for athletic performance, you want to maintain muscle mass, and as much muscle mass as you can. So to do that, if you're in a calorie deficit, you need to have extra protein. So that's where you're bumping protein up. So I think a lot of it comes from like, there are bodybuilders in the past that have gone on calorie deficits and have upped their protein to probably 2.5-3 grams per kg. For the general population, that's probably overkill. You know.
Well, from all the research, you know, Menno Hans, I follow Menno Hans a lot. You know, we're looking at 0.8 of a gram per gram, or 1.4 for a
1.
kilo,
6,
or 1.6 per kilo is where you're looking at, you know. And there's, I think that's across the board. A lot of research that's around the figure.
Yeah, 1.1, 1.6 seems to be decent. Like.
Per kilo.
Per grams per kg. Yeah. I think 0.8 per.
0.8 per pound. Sorry, 0.8 per pound. Excuse me.
Yeah.
More than that, then it's just because again, it's still a calorie and it's still nutrition. It'll be stored as fat if you go over your budget. I know it's a little more complex.
Yeah, it's a massively more complex pathway. But again, like if you've got excess calories, they'll be stored.
Yeah.
Like it's a first principle survival type mechanism of, you know, the body doesn't know that you've taken food away for an appearance purpose or a performance purpose. All it goes is there's less energy coming in. That's not good. What the hell's going on? So it ramps up all these processes. It goes, we need energy, so it makes you hungrier. You know, it starts secreting these things like, I feel hungry. Of course you're hungry. You don't have enough energy coming in. The body's perceiving a threat. There's possibly a famine. So then the next time, or after a cycle, like you do 16 weeks of a diet, and then after that it's like, oh, I can eat normally again, and all of a sudden your body's going to cling on to every bit of energy you can get. So if you blow it out of the water, it's like, right, I'm taking that and I'm going to store it in case that ever happens again. Yeah. So you get like de novo lipogenesis, or potentially creation of new fat cells, or increase in your fat cell size. So you like, so after the diet is one of the things Lane Norton's talking about a lot lately, and it's something to be conscious of for anyone that does. Like, so we're seeing a lot of stuff with people that have yo-yo dieted. So they'll do a crash diet for a couple of weeks and they'll come off it. Oh yeah, that diet really worked. Oh, I lost X stone or kilos or whatever. Yeah, and like, and how are you now? Like, oh, I'm back up. I'm actually probably a little bit heavier. And you're like, diet didn't really work then, did it? Like, oh, it did because I lost all the weight. I was like, you didn't keep it off, and you're sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but the reality is you were down there and you're back to here and possibly going beyond it.
Do you reckon 95% of people that diet, they'll go back, you know?
Yeah, well, like if they follow the strict plan, like the key thing for me is the diet has to be sustainable. So underneath, so I haven't even finished talking about the pyramid, but underneath the pyramid is...
Get back to the pyramid then.
Well, underneath the pyramid is adherence and sustainability. So the thing about like this keto diet or the low carb diet is people find them easy to stick to, and if they find it easy to stick to and it puts them in the position where they're seeing results they want to see, then if it's working for them, great. Now I can make a recommendation in terms of if it's a rugby person that wants to do keto, you're kind of like, the system you use to run as fast as you can repeatedly in an 80-minute game of rugby relies on carbohydrates. That might not be the best thing for you to get rid of them. And I'm going to leave that with you. And, you know, at the end of the day, some of these guys are adults and they have to take that as well. So, but for the general population, if someone likes eating a higher fat diet with more protein and less carbohydrates, and they can sustain that for long periods of time, great, fair play to you. Like, do it. You know what I mean? What's the best diet? The best diet is the one you can stick to.
100%. I've always found that. And the thing about with the ketos and the low carb, high fast, people, and I have been the victim of this, you get the calories wrong. You overeat. It's very easy to overeat on fat. Yeah. Especially if you put it with protein, you know, if you have a lamb chops, you know, there's fat and there's protein in there. And you know yourself, for a ketogenic diet, you got to keep your protein low as well.
Mm.
You know, if you're looking at ketones for energy, and
Yeah.
people don't understand that
Something
part.
like keto stuff is like 80% of your calories come from fat.
Yeah, and you got to keep your you got to keep your protein really low, because that impacts on your ketone levels as well. It can spike insulin, and because like protein is insulinic as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes back to that, doesn't it? Just keeping your calories to your requirements.
Yeah, and then like if you look at it in terms of fat storage from macronutrients, fat is more likely to be stored as fat.
Yeah.
Because it's the same structure. Carbohydrates have to go through a slight conversion process, and I think it's about like if you're eating in excess and you eat extra carbohydrates, like I think about 1 or 2% of that can be converted to fat storage. But people think if they eat a carb, it gets stored straight away. And you're like, no, it's shuttled into a muscle to be used as a fuel source for something.
And it's only then after.
If it's not used, it'll be like, well, we don't need this right now. We'll put it in storage for later. That's a really small percentage of overconsumption. So, yeah, it's fascinating. Will I go back to the pyramid?
100%. Get me back to the pyramid.
What did I cover? The bottom of the pyramid is energy balance. The next step is macronutrients. So your carbs, proteins, fats. For me, the next thing for performance is probably looking at like timing of those. So a lot of people kind of go, okay, I just crushed the workout. I did loads of arms, and I need to get my 20 grams of protein in my shake within 15 seconds, or I've wasted my workout.
The golden window. That window.
The anabolic window.
Yeah, the anabolic window.
The anabolic barn door. It's fucking that big. Like. It probably would last for 48, maybe even 72 hours, depending on the stimulus you give it. Like. So.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, so you got your 25 grams in after your workout. Great. What's the rest of your day look like? Oh, I'm going to have pizza for dinner.
Yeah.
What's the point in focusing on that 15 seconds or whatever, like if you've missed the other 23 hours? Like. So, stuff like that. But for athletes, like, there are certain times a day, if like, I suppose the most niche, or the most applied I've seen is like, we've got someone on a very strict calorie deficit because they need to make weight. But we also need them to be able to train hard enough that they improve and get better, and they're actually able to tolerate it. And recover, exactly. So that's where the nutrient timing thing comes in.
Yeah, we don't have a recovery day. You know?
So you might go low carb in the morning because they're not training until the evening. And then around lunchtime you might introduce some carbohydrates that'll be enough of a fuel source that they can use for their high intensity session that evening. And then afterwards, depending on what happened, you might refuel with carbohydrates to bring them back to that level so they're good to go again the next morning.
Yeah.
Or if they're not doing that the next morning, you might go, oh, hang on, we might not need as much carbs as we think. And we're still within that budget of calories for the day that they're low enough that they're going to still lose fat. But they have enough carbs in the system that they can perform at the highest level. Because that's like at the end of the day, when it comes to competition, and performance is the driver for us. If someone's not performing, we're not doing our jobs.
And I think that's where the window come in for people thinking that they got to slam 25 grams of protein, so many grams of carbs to recover from their session, blah, blah. They've missed it. And I understand that people think like that. But if you don't have protein and glycogen and fat going around your system from the night before's dinner or yesterday's dinner, there's something wrong. And that will cover you. You'll be grand unless you're performing at an Olympic level or you're a world level. Or
a lot of the stuff comes from like they run studies. So a lot of probably the original sports science research would have come from elite level runners and cyclists, because whoever was working with them had access to them. And these people would be doing two training sessions a day, a morning session and an evening session. At that point in time, like if you've got less than 6 hours between sessions, you need to make sure that glycogen is restored so that they have enough fuel in the tank to go again in the second session. So that's where the timing is really important. For someone that's coming along and going to the gym in the morning and then going to work for the rest of the day, and they might even have the day off next, like in terms of training the next day, or it's not as important. So if you've missed your energy balance, you've missed your overall total macronutrient intake.
Yeah.
Targeting that post-workout window doesn't really, like, it's not going to have as much of an impact as the layers below you, if you know what I mean. Talking about magnitudes of effect. The magnitude of effect is calorie balance will have the biggest effect, macronutrients the biggest effect, nutrient timing is a small effect.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The very top and the smallest part of the pyramid is supplements. So supplements are just really concentrated about doses of a certain type of food or micronutrient that you might struggle to get in. I think the first thing people do is when they start training, they're like, oh, I need to buy a protein supplement. Part of my job with the lads is, where do you get protein in foods? What food sources can you eat that are going to fill up your calorie balance tick off your macronutrient box, and by the time you get up to the pyramid, do you really need a supplement?
You can save yourself a lot of money if
Yeah.
you do it. Like me and you talked before about chronometer. I use chronometer, and I put all my food into that because I'm just pretty anal, and it gives me a rundown of what I take in and what I miss, and vitamins, minerals, and all that. And I've often said to people, throw it in and see where you're at.
Mm.
You know, people are like, oh, I don't want to be doing that, but then go buy the supplement. Or you want to save yourself a few quid, whack it in, see. Like, I mean, people don't realise if you have a couple of green or red peppers, you've smashed your vitamin C level for the day. And they're like, what, green and red pepper? Like, yeah, but do you think I need to take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C?
As well.
It's in there.
You're just pissing it out then.
But you can see what you need. Like, I don't take in omegas because I'm not a fishy unless it's Donegal catch or smoked cod out of chipper. Then I'm fucked. But I take in omegas and a few other things, methylated B12s. But that app, I think, is deadly for that.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, at the elite level of sports performance, there's definitely supplements we can give to athletes that are going to be ergogenic or help their performance. So if you talk about caffeine or maybe beta-alanine, or in certain sports you might look at sodium bicarbonate, or even, I forgot this one the last time, creatine. So that can have an impact. But like, a simple analogy would be like, oh, I'm looking to put on weight, should I go on creatine? I'm like, okay, have you adjusted your calories up? No, why would I? But like, if you have more calories coming in,
there's no association with it.
You put 2 and 2 together there, more calories in, you should put on weight, and if you get your macronutrients right, you should put on a better ratio of muscle to fat. Creatine is just going to help you store water, and that's what's going to change the scales, but it's not really going to do much for you actually. In terms of laying down new skeletal muscle tissue, like, it'll increase your lean mass, but that's down to water retention. So, stuff like that, I guess. And you're trying to educate the boys. So, I want to put on weight, but I go on creatine. And you're like, well, what phase of the season are you in? And creatine should be used to enhance your power output and repeated power output. So, you're doing a power block in the gym, or could you just eat more calories? Don't get me wrong, there could be a time and a place where you go, yeah, increase your calories, and yeah, go on creatine because it lines up with what you're doing.
Again, it's getting all the ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Not just run out and getting creatine. You take creatine, and you could be under it, like caloric intake.
Yeah.
So you'd be taking the creatine, you're not going to have any effect. So you need to be doing the nutrition, meeting your protein needs, meeting your carb needs, fats, and then supplement with your creatine.
Clues in the name, and start to supplement an already really good diet.
Yeah.
If your diet's not good, you're like,
that's another one I've done for years.
Trying to put a chimney on a house that hasn't got walls on it,
Yeah, I took all the supplements, took all that. It was only when I started really dialing in me nutrient intake, macros, was really when I started seeing bang for buck.
Yeah.
The other thing that the stuff I take now is actually just supplements, food. Like, I don't drink food either, with the shakes and that. Just
nice.
I've got away from all that because I don't rush now straight from the gym to have a protein shake. I'll wait till I get to work, and if I'm cook something, I can cook something. But make sure it's a solid meal, know.
I think so. Like, the biggest thing they offer is convenience. Don't get me wrong, they can be very convenient, and if they're used appropriately, great. So, like with the guys in school I mentioned earlier, like, we have a strict now under 18 supplement policy. Like, if you're under 18, you're not allowed to take supplements. We won't recommend supplements because
I think it's deadly.
The value is in the food. Like.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
And it's not, like, when you think about it, it's not really that easy to get it wrong. Like, it's like, there's carbs, fats, and protein, and you can go into fucking anywhere and get those, and that's all it is. It's like there's been a lot of smoke and mirrors by the food industry, hasn't there, and the supplement companies and all that, because the only thing you need to worry about is carbs, fats, and protein. I know it's very simple. I'm making it very simplistic.
Very, yeah. A lot of other things that go along with that, I suppose. But yeah, like, there's a lot of, like, there is because there is always going to be something that comes out in terms of a study showed this, and everyone kind of jumps on that, in the media jump on that. But like, anyone that kind of gets into the nitty gritty of the methodology and the statistical models and stuff, you're like, oh, there was a twofold increase in cancer rates in rats when they ate this, whatever. And you look at that and you go, well, like, that was like a really, really small percentage of what actually happened. And they just kind of, the way the statistics are run and magnitude, the meaningful difference is your risk has increased by 0.01% as a human. You're kind of like, that's actually not that big. When you look, like, but you can you take a headline and run with it, I guess. And there's always stuff that comes out and contradicts, and I suppose for us, we have to take the weight of the evidence. So, 2 studies could say one thing and 8 studies could say another thing. So what are you going to do? Probably lean towards what 8 studies have shown this. I don't get me wrong, I have a healthy degree of skepticism, but the weight of the evidence lies in this path or this recommendation, so I'm going to go with it. And it's kind of what you're using. That's what I would use. That's what I would try and do with that.
I'm kind of going back a bit here. Something just sprung to my mind as I'm thinking. When you said you don't give food plans.
Oh yeah.
So when I'm thinking you're doing performance and they're all playing the same sport, would it not have been beneficial to give them a food plan, because then they're all on, say, a carbohydrate diet this way, a low fat this diet this day, and then it'll match the needs of the sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just tell them what to eat, because that will then help them perform on the day.
Yeah, and to a point, I'd tell them what to eat, but it would be, I'd give general recommendations.
Oh yeah, you would make it sport specific.
Oh yeah, I would. Don't get me wrong. Like, so for example, if we're kind of coming towards the end of pre-season, the boys are going to start playing games, right? Right, lads. Pre-game nutrition and what you should be trying to do. In terms of carb load in 36 hours out from kickoff, 6 to 8 grams per kg carbohydrate. Keep your protein the same, 2 grams per kg. Towards the game, reduce your fiber intake.
Brilliant.
So you don't want to be going in with your heavy guts. Stuff like that, and hydration, I would go into with them, yeah. But
brilliant.
More so, what I meant is, if I've met you for maybe the first or second time, and I give you this sheet that goes, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, and it's completely alien to what you're normally used to doing, I could probably bank 90% chance you're not gonna hit all 6 of those meals or all 5 of those meals perfectly, and you're gonna feel shit about yourself because, like, I didn't do the meal plan the way you told me to do the meal plan.
Yeah.
So straight away you're on a negative with someone, whether it's a client or a nutritionist or whatever, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Now, when I said earlier I'd circle back to it, my view on meal plans has changed in that one of the best ways to get someone to kind of start progressing or start changing behaviours, to make it really specific and signpost them the destination. So what's the end goal? Where do I want you? And I know from, like, the research and from the experience, and I could write out a meal plan for a player and not give it to him, but I could have it there and go, so this is what I'd love you to do. That'd be you sitting pretty now. What are you doing? And what I'm going to do is look for the discrepancies between what I have written down and what he's showing me. So the meal plan in my head is all of these things. So, 5 protein hits a day, and he's getting 50 grams at dinner. So, like, you can go as specific as you like.
Yeah, got it.
And all of a sudden I looked and he's like, I'm not eating breakfast, or he's skipping lunch, or he's not having a post-workout snack. Why am I going to try and get him to do all of this when all I need to? Like, can you eat something after training tomorrow? And do that, at the end of the week, and I'll catch up with you on Monday. What did you have? Like, I had a banana and a couple of rice cakes. Like, how did you feel? Yeah, I felt when I went into the gym in the afternoon I was a bit more energy. Like, yeah, is that good? Like, would you like to keep that going? Like, yeah, I'll keep trying it. And you go straight away, you're kind of, right, we're on the same page. I want that snack to change based on the day. I don't want you always having rice cakes. I want you to have something else.
Okay.
So I have the blueprint, shall we say, and I have the end goal. But I think if you show that to someone who's not ready to see it, it creates the ambivalence and the panic, and it sets them off the wrong way.
Gotcha.
So I would have seen that. Like, there's been times like I've had guys that come up to me injured, and they're like, yeah, I'm injured, so I'm gonna probably need a meal plan for the next 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, well, great, no problem. And I get out my computer and I get out my software and I go, like, what you like eating? And I do gram for gram and calorie counted and spot on. And give it to them, and you come up to them and think, how'd you get on? Like, no, I didn't do it. Like, where is it? Like, I think it's in my gear bag. It could actually be in my locker in the change room.
The fuckers.
So, okay, so then
I wrote many of those out.
Yeah, like, okay, so why didn't you do it? Some of them might just be like, didn't bother. And some of them might be like, I don't know. You're like, okay, well, let's forget about it and see, what can we do? So, you probably notice I'm always trying to spin a positive. That's probably a naivety thing for myself, and it's probably not always good, but I always look at where's the win, because the win is going to bring us on to the next thing, So, if I'm taking something away, like, I rarely will try and take something out of someone's diet. If you do take something away, it has to be replaced.
I always find that works.
Yeah.
I added stuff, and then that just pushes the shit out.
Yeah.
And I find it myself, even my behaviours, I put in meditation, that might then push away a little bit of social media. I'll put in training. That's another thing I'm pushing out. Well, I won't have time for going on the gargle.
That's a great point you made there. Like, I need to get rid of my social media. I need to get rid of it. But all of a sudden, I just go cold turkey, and I'm sitting there going, "What am I doing?" Whereas if I had gone, maybe I'll meditate for 20 minutes, and I've got 20 minutes less social media that I can look at and go.
Or pick up a book about meditation. It's all around changing that behavior. I find by bringing things in, like I didn't one day decide I'm just gonna go train and not drink and eat shit. I just went training, more training, and I haven't got time for doing other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I cut out going to certain things because I was doing either meditation or something that's positive towards me, but I didn't one day go, I'm giving this shit up.
But even still, from like a totally separate to nutrition, I guess, but if we're still talking behaviour change from that, like let's say someone does want to reduce their social media and you say pick up a book on meditation, what if they read articles on their phone? So if they're on their phone and they've read their articles about meditation, so they're off social media, but they're still on their phone.
But I've had to have this article with people before.
But there's your win.
Yeah.
And straight away you go, oh, you didn't use Instagram for 20 minutes, you read about it, that's savage, well done.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to build the win.
Because I look at Twitter. A lot of the stuff I don't be looking at Mary crossing the flats eating our dinner or looking at our ugly kids or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Shout out to Mary.
Big up Mary. There's no Mary across there. She's just a figment of my imagination. Them binoculars are on, yeah. They're not real. But anyway, do you know, so it depends on what you do on it. You know, if you're getting on there and you're reading articles or following people like you put up deadly posts on Instagram which are cooking and all that kind of stuff. But if your enemy's just flicking by whatever shit, or if you do follow people and they're talking about meditation or physiology or weight loss, that is beneficial to you.
I agree. I get so much knowledge from Twitter.
100%. So it's not all bad. And if you're just following fucking, I don't know, Kardashians, then we have a problem. Aaron looks happy over there. He must follow the Kardashians. No, we follow them too.
He doesn't, do you?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's UFC, until he dies. Yeah, so it's about what you use it for, I suppose.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
Come here, we're getting really close to time. We're both all have the bounce. Let's talk strength and conditioning. Everyone has a strength and conditioning coach. Everyone wants a strength and conditioning coach. What's your thoughts around
that? If I'm being totally honest, in terms of general population, I think strength conditioning at the moment seems to be like the fitness trend.
Yeah, I do too. Every club has a strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I always ask the question, like, if you're doing some form of training, so are you getting stronger? You should be getting, if you're doing resistance training, you should be getting stronger. If you're not, it's not strength training. You're not getting stronger. And I always ask the question with conditioning, like, conditioning, you need to be in a condition to perform a certain way. So what conditioning are you doing, or why are you conditioning? And I think conditioning is just the sexy way of branding cardio these days.
Yeah.
So like people hop on the bike and do 30 minutes low intensity to kind of get their heart rate up, and that's great. Fair play to them. Like, oh, I just did low intensity conditioning there. Okay, but I suppose the other flip side is like you were saying earlier, you can get you do a set of 8 squats, your heart rate goes through the roof. Is there a cardiovascular benefit there? Would you call that squat? Would you call the squats cardio? Not really, but like it's kind of this I think it's a catch-all term for it. It's like, I used a sled, but I also did some kettlebells and I did some ropes. At the end of the day, you just use different movements to get your heart rate up and keep it up.
Or you can bluff like fuck with it.
And there's probably some strength stimulus in there. So you're kind of, I'm very probably, I wouldn't say I'm old school. I think there's a lot of people that still say the same. Like when you're doing your strength work, it's strength work.
Yeah.
When you're doing your speed work, it's speed work. When you're doing your conditioning and your cardiovascular stuff, it's cardiovascular, and it's for a specific thing.
I won't give away the person, but I was having this conversation some of the weekend, and my mentality is like yours. If you're doing strength work, do your strength work, go home, rest, have some food, and do it maybe, if you want to do it at night or do it the next day. But if you're doing your cardio work or you're running, you do them separate days. What's your thoughts around that?
If you can, ideally, yeah. I think the minimum is to leave 6 hours between them, just due to the signal pathways. So,
signal pathways.
Yes, if you want to go down the mTOR and the AMPK, we can't. No. Always trying to do your strength in the morning if you can, because you're looking at force production and you don't want to be fatigued when you're trying to produce as much force as possible.
Yeah.
If you can separate them with 6 hours, if you can't, like if you need to go in and get you're going in before work, let's say, and you want to get your bench and your squats done, and you still need to give yourself a blast on a bike or something. Lift first, And like it's not ideal. Don't get me wrong, but we don't live in an ideal world. And if you're ticking the two boxes, lift first, condition second.
Because I always recommend to people, even the classes that I teach, I'd say to them, I'll do the strength work with you, and on the days that you don't do it with me or whatever, go do some cardio, on your days off, and then I think you get best bang for buck.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because they don't really interfere with each other that
But
way.
people want to do it all. They want to lose weight, get bigger, get faster. And
The man who hunts 2 rabbits catches none.
yeah. you can't ride 3 horses with the one arse.
Bingo, yeah.
There you go. We're whacking out
A lot of the things pull in
the
separate
euphemisms.
directions. Yeah, they pull in separate directions. You got to pick a direction for a certain period of time.
Yeah,
like.
I just think you have to be specific with your training. I know I do be a bit anal sometimes, but it's if you want to do your strength, do your weight loss, and do your cardio when you need it.
And then within that as well, there's probably a lot of people doing strength conditioning for maybe teams or maybe groups of athletes that are, just kind of giving them a tough session. And that session, if it's in a periodized plan of progression, where it builds into the next one or builds on the previous one, I have no problem with that. If it's a tough session, it's a tough session, and people need to be pushed. But if all you're doing is flogging people for the sake of it, and it's completely random, and that's to me is not conditioning, because it's not preparing them, it's not conditioning them to do if for rugby, like if we didn't train them in static exertions and sprints and carries and tackles, like we wouldn't be conditioning them. If all we did was run with them aerobically, they'd be phenomenal, but they might not be able to sprint faster than the opposition. They might not be able to tackle as well. So they're not conditioned. They can't meet the demands of the sport, I guess.
Yeah, if you're going sport specific. But I teach a class in the hospital, and they love to throw it all together. Get smashed, do weights, do cardio. But in an ideal world and working with teams, you wouldn't do that. Yeah. But the way I do it is I'm meeting the needs of my customer. That's what they want. Because if I just done weights, just done strength, they'd be bored fuck.
And I guess we're in we're in a privileged position where we're in this kind of environment where we kind of know that, like, okay, look, this isn't the problem with what we do is it's not sexy, I guess, and like the nutrition advice I give isn't sexy, and I probably won't sell many books. Fuck, put myself out of a book there. It probably it's not the hook, it's not the grab, it's not the quick fix, it's not the like a lot of the times you won't leave the gym on your arse, panting, sweating, vomiting, like, and don't get me wrong, if you do
people want that.
Yeah, I think that's a part of our job. Is like when I worked in the gym in Liverpool, people used to be like, "Oh, your strength session last Saturday wasn't really tough or whatever," and I was like, "You squatted a new 3 rep max. You've never squatted 150 before." Yeah, but
you wanted to leave sweating.
Have you got stronger, or like you came to a strength class? Like,
yeah, it's
like stuff like that, and I think it's our job to educate and just kind of change perceptions, and like a lot of it. The stuff that works is the boring basics.
I think so too.
Savagely well, consistently over a long time.
Yeah, I done a session there today with the class, and I done an upper body, lower body, hands, glutes, and I just kept an all around. It was really good. But I knew at the end that they wanted more. They wanted to leave sweating. So I took out my bands and we went in and done some running. That's what they wanted, and they're the customer. They like being sweating. They like coming back to work. They really went through the mill, and they're fit as fuck anyway.
Yeah.
But
like if you're trying to sell something, you have to get that balance.
And I have to give it to them because they love it and they enjoy it.
I'm very lucky in the fact that I don't have to sell anything. I'm there regardless of whether we like each other or we think the other one's full of shit. That can be good and bad, but I don't have to try and sell anything. There's no gimmicks, and it's just like, here's what works, here's what works, here's what works, here's what works. Run it into the ground. You're gonna be sick of hearing it. If you hear it from me and you hear it from someone else, and the rugby coach is saying it, it's probably the right thing to do, and you need to do it more often.
And the one thing about that team is they're all there with the one need, and they're all playing the one sport. When you're running classes in a gym they're all fitness levels. They all want a little bit of everything, cardio, strengths. And I just believe if you give it to them on the day and they leave with that, they're happy customers, and they, because I think there's a lot more going on in gyms and classes than just the stuff that you do on the ground anyway.
Yeah.
I love the social part of it and being part of the community.
It's so much more, like, I think if people are just going to classes to lose weight, or like, they've missed a trick in here, like you said, social aspects, learning a new skill like squatting and benching and pull-ups and chin-ups, like they're skills that you can learn and get better at and get stronger with. And you know, seeing your, probably people don't track, but like heart rate and stuff, like if you've ever tracked your heart rate and seeing your resting heart rate decrease over a number of weeks, you're getting fitter. Like that's
100%. I love heart rate monitors.
Yeah, stuff like that. So another thing I was going to touch on is, like I've seen a lot lately, is this idea behind people like, oh, I need to change my body, how I look or whatever, and they just smash themselves with endless amounts of exercise. And you're like, oh, use exercise as kind of a tool to kind of get out there and move around and feel good about yourself and show what your body can do, and use your nutrition to take care of all the stuff, the fat loss stuff and the muscle building stuff and that, like. So
I had this argument with KC back in 2010 where I used to say that nutrition is 80%, 85% of weight loss, and exercise is a really small part. And we argued over, I can't remember what he said at the time, but I was adamant that that's what it was, through experiential experience and then through working with people. I think exercise is really small. It's really beneficial and it's complementary, part of the system, keeps you on check, it keeps behaviours, keeps you accountable. But actual bang for buck, I think nutrition is the dog's bollocks.
I agree, because like if you think about it, exercise feeds into that calorie balance equation, energy in, energy out, so it increases your energy out. If that energy out isn't enough to put you in a deficit, you won't see any kind of changes in body mass. So like one of the things, like I've seen it happen where people go and they try to do fasted cardio because they believe it burns more fat, or causes more fat loss, and you kind of sit on a bike for 40 minutes and you keep the legs ticking over at a fat burning pace, whatever. And if you put a heart rate monitor on them, they'll probably burn like 100, 120 calories maybe. And you're like, well, what if you just didn't eat the Mars bar, which is 250 calories? You've created a calorie deficit by not putting something in. You don't need to get up at 6 in the morning and get on the bike for 40 minutes and feel like
you can save yourself a lot of energy. I done a little bit of an experiment there a couple of years, and I explained to someone this my point, and I said I'm going to train one day a week for something like 10 weeks or something, and I lost something like 9 kilo. I just cut my calories down to whatever, I can't remember what it was, but I only trained once a week and I dropped 9 kilos. I felt and looked like a bag of shit.
I'd say you did, yeah.
Yeah, like I did, all of them was one weight training session.
Are you in the middle of that now, or?
What a cunt!
We'll leave it on that bombshell, will we?
We can't leave it without me asking you, what's the one thing you'd like people to take away from this interview? Other than that I look like a bag of shite. Aaron, I can't believe you're standing there letting them say this about me. You're meant to be the muscle.
One thing.
He's only the looks. He's only the eye candy of the podcast.
I'd say if you're someone who's looking to change something about their daily life, whether it's nutrition or training or meditation or something, find what the end goal for you is and work back from that. And what are all the steps that are going to get you there, and win the first step. And if you get that win, the momentum will take care of itself. And within that, we talked about this previously as well, it's the X's model. So if you line up on your calendar,
I love this.
Or you put the 7 days, I think it was a 7x7 chart. If you put up a grid and you highlight one habit you want to get better at, and you put an X in that grid every time you've done that habit. So it could be, I want to eat, instead of having Coke Pops for breakfast, I want to have poached eggs on toast or something. Every time you do that, put an X in the box. And the visual cue of seeing all those X's, you're building this chain. And you don't want to break the chain. And it's kind of another thing, because when we change one thing, we kind of go, the scale hasn't changed, or the weight loss hasn't come yet. And you're like, look what you've actually done. So it's another way of visualizing your progress.
Oh, it's deadly.
So
That's a great one.
Look to the end, start with the end in mind, and work back. Win the first step, and in order to keep yourself on, tick it off as you go, because the dopamine hit you get from ticking something off and seeing progress is going to keep you motivated to continue.
Fantastic. Nice one, bro. And I got a little compliment at the end of that. I love it. That'll keep my ego in check. Richard Kelly, I'm absolutely honoured to get you back on again. Thanks very much for your time the first time. Thanks very much for your time the second time. I really appreciate that. And I hope people got what I got out of it. Was loads of knowledge, loads of stick. And yeah, thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me back.